I've got two questions for you this week. First, you can choose one game you've played in your entire life. Every memory of it disappears. Gone. You get to play it again tonight, completely blind, as if you'd never touched it before. Which game are you choosing? Then there's the second question. What made you a gamer? Not necessarily the first game you ever played, not necessarily the best game you ever played, but the one that changed gaming from something you did into part of who you are. Maybe introduce you to people who are somehow still sitting next to you 25 years later. That's what we're talking about this week. And the games that we'll never forget because they help make us the gamers that we are. So this week, we're remembering why we love games.
Level up, power on the mics alive today. WildStar Gaming's here to cut the hype away. Real reviews, real games, real tech we trust. No clickbait, no nonsense. Just gamers being us. WildStar Gaming! Join the conversation. Honest views and hands-on gaming every generation. From launch day wins to patch day pain, we'll tell it like we see. WildStar Gaming, powered by the community.
Welcome to WildStar Gaming, the Gamers Podcast. I'm Andy, and joining me as always is Frankie.
Hey, hello everyone.
And James.
Hi there, everyone.
Something slightly unusual is happening this week, going from the last two episodes. We're going to be positive. Apparently legal said we're not allowed to spend every episode being disappointed and calling the game industry a bin fire. So for 1 week only, WildStar Gaming is going to experience an emotion we're not particularly familiar with in the game world at the moment.
That is
a brand new us. That's joy. We're going to spread some joy. Because this week we're going to talk about the games that we genuinely love and the whys and the hows. We're going to go back through our gaming lives to find the game that actually made each of us a gamer. The one that changed gaming from something we did into something that became a part of who we are. Right. Do you both know which game you would wipe from your memory?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, good. Don't tell me yet. So here's the rule. One game, every memory of it is completely erased. So you don't know the story, you don't know the characters anymore, you don't know the world, you don't know the plot twists. You get to experience the thing completely blind. What are you choosing?
If I could erase all memories of one game and play again for the first time, it will come as no surprise to either of you that I would choose Expedition 33.
Yep.
Yeah, a game that I harp on about constantly. But it's also a game that I think I enjoyed so much and came as such a pleasant surprise for me. To be able to experience that again for the first time would be something fantastic. The nature of that game and the way it plays out with the plot twists and things like that means that although it's replayable and playable after the main campaign has ended, it will never quite have that same punch as the first time you play it.
I do have a confession, and that is I do quite like RPGs. You know, a lot of my favourite memories are single-player RPGs. I have not played it.
I will confess I have not played it either.
Yeah, I know, neither of you did.
I did start it.
Criminal.
I did start it, and I couldn't. I didn't really give it a proper chance. I didn't really get into it, and then I haven't tried it again since. So I will give it a proper go.
It was one of those rare games where everything they tried to do came together in such a way that it created an experience that
So
was
for you, that
just,
was
it was
that
just for a gamer like me, and I mean, you guys know me, you guys know my preferences and things like that, and I love RPGs. But what they did with that game, it just came together. The characters, the storyline, and especially like the music and the world, they just came together in such a magical way.
Do you know how many hours you put into it?
I'd be embarrassed to think how many hours I put into that game. Well over 100 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, well over 100 hours. And that was me sort of playing the game through, taking my time, exploring a lot, because exploration is very much rewarded in that game. And sort of not just rushing to the end. And then after I'd finished the game, continuing to explore the world and unlock things, try out different builds with characters, like theory crafting, potential builds, because the customization system for your characters is expansive, to say the least.
So it lets you just continue after once the game. Don't want to do any spoilers, but for people who haven't
So,
played the game.
without
like us,
any
but-
spoilers, once you completed the final encounter, you can then go back to the moment just before the final encounter. At any point then, you can then go and do the final encounter again. And
Oh,
there is
yeah, fair
also
enough.
multiple endings depending on certain choices you make
Yeah.
just before and during that final encounter as well. So it's well worth experiencing it like both ways.
I like that options, what games give you now, that different ending. You do different stuff, you then get that new ending. It's good. It's like, it does make it like a completely different game altogether.
Yeah, I think that it's just the choice, isn't it? You know, being able to pick one way or another. Some games do it so they have like dozens of endings. You look at games like Baldur's Gate 3, for instance, like that game had multiple potential endings depending on multiple choices that you made during the course of the game. But for Expedition 33, it was basically a major choice towards the end of the game that you made, and it would affect which ending you got. But even then, I would say, yeah, being able to experience that for the first time again would just be fantastic for me.
Okay. So it's literally the entire experience of playing that game.
Everything about that game. Like I said, for me, for a gamer like me, that game was as close to perfect as I think pretty much any game will ever get.
So that is a pretty big accolade right there.
Yeah, it's good.
Positive, you see? Positivity.
Yeah,
Positivity,
good.
spreading the joy.
Spread the joy.
Frankie, what's yours?
I'm going a bit more old school, guys. So I've got Street of Rage 2.
Okay.
Wow.
Back in 1993. Got it for the Mega Drive 2. Yeah, I love like the combat, the neon lights, just like the neon street lights to it. I loved the co-op bit. It was my first kind of games I played like with family members. Yeah, like to play that again for the first time. The memories what it gave me, like, and has given me, like going through like them playing other games as well. That everything about that time, it was just so unique. I didn't play too much of the first one too much, but having my own computer at the time, my own Mega Drive, it was I can just obviously then play the games way more often.
I have a question for you though. Say for instance, your memory of that game was erased and you were playing it again for the first time now, modern day, how you are now. Do you think it would still have the same impact on you as it had back then?
I would say yes, because playing number 4 a few years back, it did make the same. I had that same memory, so it did come back and think, that kind of style of game I do like. I know they've done like different ones,
like the side-scrolling
turtles and the that is so like
you don't really see it very much anymore, do you?
So no, that would have 100%, definitely. I enjoyed, I can just remember how it all just lit up and you seeing all the worlds back then. But now, 100%, because playing number 4 recently and still playing it nowadays, so, and it's one of the games as well. If I'm playing with my family, I will probably put this on them because they can all join in and they're not feeling left out. And like I think for younger generations as well, it's a kind of a good insight of gaming as well. So
that's a good one, Frankie. It's a good one. So mine is Final Fantasy VII, but the original PlayStation version, not the new one. Not that there's anything wrong with the new one, but obviously I could talk for hours about why it's such a brilliant game, but that's not really why I picked it. I picked it mainly because of how I experienced it. So this whole section of what game would we want to experience again for the first time, I picked it because of that. So at the time, I was the only one out of my big group of mates who had a PlayStation. So when Final Fantasy VII came along, we'd all end up like huddled in my room around the PlayStation playing it together. That's kind of the experience that I'd like to have again.
So, you had it as a shared experience.
Yeah. We weren't watching hours of gameplay on YouTube before release. We didn't have social media. We genuinely didn't know what was coming. We were figuring it out together. One person had the controller, but everybody was playing. Someone's telling you where to go. Someone thought that they understand materia better than somebody else, Inevitably, the bloke who hasn't touched the controller for hours suddenly becomes the Final Fantasy expert.
A backseat player.
Yeah. They're the one flicking through the latest latest edition of the Games Master magazine, and there's a section in there telling you what to do. So all of a sudden they're the expert. But I'm Midgar, so Midgar already felt massive. You were there for hours moving, meeting all these characters. And then, we all thought, oh, crap, this game's big. It's, this is the game. Then you leave Midgar.
You get to that moment.
You're looking at that map and you're like, holy crap, this is just part of like a massive
I remember
world.
that moment well.
And that kind of moment is what I'd want to experience again. I mean, obviously then you've got Aerith. So anybody who knows Devon knows exactly which moment I'm talking about.
Yeah.
If somehow you don't, I'm not going to spoil a 30-year-old game for you. But what I remember isn't just what happens, it's the music. And then instead of immediately just jumping straight into a boss fight, the boss theme, it jumps you into the Genova fight. So then all of a sudden you're fighting this boss where you're trying to process emotionally what the hell has just happened. So to experience that again without knowing it was coming, that would be super cool.
And my question for you would be the same as I posed to Frankie, because obviously, as we know, the game now, my memory of the game has far better graphics than the game itself had. I remember playing that game and thinking how great it looks, and then obviously playing it again years later and going, I don't remember the game looking like this. Obviously, after you'd experienced more modern, up-to-date graphics, do you think that you would also need that same shared experience of you and your mates sitting around the computer playing it together for it to have the same impact?
I think that's probably where my answer gets complicated. So yeah, I'm not sure I'd want the game back. It would be the memory. I mean, if you wiped that game from my memory tonight and handed me the original PlayStation version, would I have the same experience? Probably not. I'm older. Gaming has changed. I've played hundreds and thousands of games since. I've experienced enormous open worlds and cinematic RPGs and the things that all of a sudden are embedded and we take for granted.
But you think for you, if you could be transported back in time to that exact moment, that would be the real impact?
Yeah, because I mean, let's be fair. Final Fantasy, the original Final Fantasy VII has aged. There's random encounters every 12 seconds. Some of the translation is questionable, and Cloud looks like somebody built him out of Toblerones. But none of that matters when I remember it. I'm not remembering polygons. I'm remembering that room and my mates and the experience and the fact that you're 8 or 9 young lads just figuring stuff out.
Yeah, because there are so many, when you are looking at this, there are so many memories and games that you could have chosen. But yeah, just that's the ones that stand out that little bit more, isn't it? Really, just to.
Yeah, I think that there could have been potentially multiple different games I could have played. I could have chosen instead of the one I did. I think I chose mine for the game itself, whereas you chose yours more for the experience that you had while
that memories of it all. Yeah,
and also you, Frankie, you both chose your games based more on the memories that surround those games rather than the games themselves.
I loved the game itself. The game itself was, having all the combat was so responsive. The soundtracks were so all dancing music, and it had that that good upbeat vibe to it. I think the bosses were always unique and new. The enemies were always different. So I liked it. Was very iconic, and I think it's I think it's a game that's obviously stayed. People will go back to now and then.
By its very nature, it stands the test of time, really, because it was designed in such a way that became so iconic that even the more modern iterations of the game have kept that same style.
Yeah.
You're just a couple of sentimental old bastards, really, aren't you?
We are, yeah. I mean, I think all my greatest kind of gaming experiences are, and this is why I'm not really a single player kind of person. Even if it is a single player, it's, having that interaction is important. All my greatest gaming memories and the things that influence me the most there's been a social side to it.
Yes.
Well, we'll come back to that for me later on.
I think that leads us nicely into the games that made us gamers? That's the second kind of big question. Obviously, Final Fantasy VII gave me some of my greatest kind of gaming memories and the social side of it. But I don't think it's the game that made me the gamer I am today. For that, I'd have to jump forward a few years. But so the games that made us gamers. James, what's yours?
Mine isn't necessarily one of the first games I played or anything like that. I mean, the first game that I remember playing was probably sitting in front of a PC playing some obscure game that somebody had loaded up to keep me quiet while they were doing something else. And then obviously I remember going to my cousin's house and they had sort of like the NES and then the SNES and then you had like the Sega Mega Drive and things like that. So I played games from a young age. But I think it wasn't until I played one specific game that gaming as a passion was cemented in my mind, and it has heavily influenced the type of gamer I am now. And for me, that game was Ocarina of Time. Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time.
Cool game.
On the N64, I think it might have been one of the first times I sat down and played one single game from start to finish without taking any breaks or playing any other games in between. It grabbed me in a way that no other game had done before. And I think it really cemented the RPG genre for me as my go-to genre of gaming. I just remember it being open and explorable and intriguing. There was a whole mystery surrounding it. The whole music, because the ocarina was a big thing in there, learning the different songs for the ocarina and pressing the button combinations in order to play them. Everything about it seemed like it was made to grab my attention and not let it go. I mean, I'm sure it's the same
personally for you.
Yeah, I'm sure it's the same for many people. They have incredibly fond memories of Ocarina of Time. I'm sure I'm not the only one whose sort of gaming future was shaped by that game.
That was a gateway game, wasn't it? So,
I mean, before that, it was sort of like games were something I played. I remember playing games like, obviously, the Mario games that were on, like, the Nintendo Entertainment System, the NES, and then sort of like Sonic games that were on the Mega Drive, and games like Altered Beast. And then I got an N64 a few years later, and there were tons of great games on the N64. You had things like GoldenEye, Banjo-Kazooie, Turok, and I played them. And then came Ocarina of Time, and it was just a fundamental gaming experience for me. Yeah, when you posed the question to us, what is the game that made you the gamer you are today, there was only ever going to be one answer for me.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. For me, it's Rainbow Six 3 Black Arrow on the original Xbox. Obviously, I'd been gaming for years before Black Arrow, but that's the game that changed kind of what gaming actually meant to me. I mean, you got to remember that's when online gaming kind of just started to take off. So Xbox Live was still really new.
Yeah, it was in its infancy.
Yeah. But suddenly you got a headset on and you're playing against real people from all over the place. And Black Arrow was perfect for that because it's very different to a modern day shooter. You weren't just sprinting and sliding and jumping. It was a little bit slower, a little bit more tactical. Communication actually mattered. You had to learn the maps and learn the angles and learn the routes. And when you played kind of regularly with people, you learned how they played well. And that's the other side of it that's different. There was a social side to that. I mean, can you imagine getting into a COD lobby now? I mean, nobody even uses their mic in COD, but imagine getting into a COD lobby and just chatting to people. Wouldn't happen.
You did have so much fun. It was so funny.
Wouldn't happen. People would just have just genuinely social conversations.
I think it was the rise of private chats. It sort of like after the original Xbox, you had like the Xbox 360 and then obviously all of the consoles that have come since, that people started gravitating more towards private chats with the group of people they were playing with. But I remember Rainbow Six Black Arrow very well. I mean, interesting fact, it was the game where I first met you, Andy.
It was. So it was a game where I first met you and Lee about 27,000 years ago. So
Yep.
you don't play shooters anymore.
I don't play shooters anymore. No.
No, yeah, you don't.
It was the game where I first met you under less than ideal circumstances.
Yeah, I mean, I did get properly competitive on that game. I mean, I don't, not to toot my own horn, but I was one of the best players in the world. Full stop. I'm still quite.
This is actually true.
Yeah, I'm still quite proud of that.
So
there was quite a
I
big.
feel like we need to tell the story.
No, you need to tell them. Yeah, be proud of this one.
I feel like we need to tell the story because when I first met Andy all those years ago on Rainbow Six Black Arrow, I could not stand him. I couldn't. No, I couldn't stand him. He was not, obviously I didn't know him very well. So to me, he was just a guy on the opposite team that you just couldn't kill. Didn't seem to matter what you did. Didn't seem to matter how quick your reactions were. He was always one step ahead. And the other thing is, and you'll admit this yourself, Andy, you were good and you knew it and you weren't scared to make other people aware of the fact that you were good. And it rubbed some people the wrong way.
But you were a cocky bastard, were you?
He was a cocky bastard, yeah. And I remember the first time coming, or the first few times coming up against him, just thinking, who is this absolute idiot?
Yeah.
Then I remember that Lee, obviously Frankie's brother, got to know you a bit and was like, oh yeah, he's actually a nice guy. And I was like, no, never. I will not speak to that guy. I can't stand him. Not happening in the slightest.
Yeah.
And now here we are all these years later. We're doing a gaming podcast together. Not just doing a gaming podcast together, but we've been very good friends for
many
how many years now?
Many years. Oh, it's 20, 25,
about 25 years.
But that's the difference. You know, the community, obviously, this is back when game battles was a thing. You'd have your leagues and your rankings. So I was in the top team in Europe, and then we went on to the Worlds. It was second in the world. The top American team wouldn't play us because they reckoned that the ping was going to be too high, even though all the other American teams played us no problem. But there was a proper competitive community around that game. It was almost kind of one of the games that launched esports before esports was a thing.
Long before esports was a thing.
Game battles was the platform that was used for esports. But you knew the good clans, you knew the good players, you knew the teams you didn't want to come up against, and people knew us. You know, my reputation preceded me. And I didn't smack talk all the time, but I guess the other difference is if you go into a COD lobby these days, somebody gets one kill and they're smack talking.
Yeah.
Whereas I would smack talk and wipe out a whole team single-handedly without cheating. So I guess that is the other difference. That's not why that game means so much to me. It's because I think Black Arrow is where I'm at, James and Lee.
I think it's also a game that's like near and dear to my heart as well, mainly because, again, me calling you guys sentimental, but it does hold a lot of incredibly good memories. Yeah, I mean, there was a real community that was made in that game.
There was, yeah. And when I look at the games that I've kind of gravitated towards since, then you can see Black Arrow's fingerprints all over them. You know, shooters, multiplayer, teamwork, communication, games where progressing and getting better kind of matters to me. And that's why I think, eventually something like Destiny became a big part of my gaming life. But you can trace a lot of that back to Black Arrow.
I would say, knowing you, that's definitely true.
Yeah. Yeah. So that is my one. I think that's
a good one.
That is what made me. I think, knowing me as long as he has, I think James would probably concur.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Frankie, enough about mine. What is yours?
So as you guys know me, I am completely different to you guys. I do not really play too many online games. I do prefer my one-player games. My early memories of games were mid to late 80s, going around my cousin's house, playing on their Amiga. But mine's always been like football manager games, strategy games. They were my first kind of introduced to gaming. And then in the early 90s, we got bought our first Game Boy and Super Mario Land. And I think that's what kind of turned me into being a gamer. And I really then took more interest in getting into gaming. And then what kind of always then caught me into the games I like playing was LMA Manager on the Xbox, the original Xbox. And yeah, I've just always been into strategy games, management games. As you know, I do come on online now and then and play with you guys. I think it's more just to have a laugh, and I think watching you lot play, and I was watching and playing with you guys not too long ago on Battlefield, and yeah, you can see you guys have been playing it for so long. Like it's I've got no chance. But yeah, no, I prefer my single player games. That's my bit.
Is that because you can kind of just relax and just
I'm a lot more chilled.
Yeah,
don't
so
like the fast pace.
Yeah, so it's almost like it's a relaxation kind of downtime thing for you.
For me, definitely. I don't do it. I'll join on with you guys to have that fix or that laugh. But yeah, I don't think I'll probably a bit like you, James.
Why are you laughing at us, Frankie?
No, I'm not.
It's funny. So funny to you.
It's funny. I tell you, sometimes it is funny. You guys take it too seriously, and it's that.
It's the rage.
You try, That's it.
Rage.
That's it. And I obviously I understand it in some ways with games I play sometimes, but I kind of look at games as being that more relaxing, chilled time, and don't let it get to you, enjoy, that enjoyment factor. But then when I see you guys, how good you lot are, so I understand. And when something doesn't go that right for you, for me, it would mean like, oh my God, I would still be amazed
to be known
that I've got that flight.
You guys, he's talking about.
Oh, sorry, I'm talking. Yeah, technically.
Because when things don't go right especially in the first person shooter game for Andy, there is rage like you have not experienced.
Yes, like I've seen a few little bits of the rage, especially now with so many cheaters in the games and so many mods and doing stuff now. It's the next level.
I have very high standards for myself.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that, and that's what makes you the gamers, and probably in the way you're in life as well. You strive to be that better person, and that way as well. I think then in gaming as well, sometimes it brings you into that world as well. But I'm a lot more chilled out.
I think it's actually that's a really good point. I think when you look at the three of us as people, you can see how gaming has those games have not only shaped our gaming life, but how the games that we have chosen as our preferred games to play, or the games that chose us, the games that influenced us, have crossed over into our real lives.
Yeah, I do agree with that. And I think
you can see the influences of it. Andy's always been a competitive person. That's in gaming and in life. You like to use gaming as a way to sort of relax and wind down, and it's very much sort of in your character, a kind of more relaxed person.
Yeah, I think that's easy as well as when you're creating characters. I see when, watching people when they create their characters and seeing people play their games, I think as well where I create my character is just completely different to others. And I think that's what they say sometimes it is.
I think, for me, it's sort of like the RPG games have led to me being someone who really gets into the technical side of things and sort of gets into the nitty gritty of things. And it's sort of like that attention to things like stats and the mechanics behind a game like an RPG has sort of reflects itself in the way I am as a person as well. So I think it's safe to say that not only have those games shaped our gaming futures, but they've also helped to shape the people we are. And that's why I don't like the negativity that gets thrown around gaming about, games being a bad influence on people.
Yeah,
because I've never bought into that. That's nonsense.
The three of us,
I agree with you. Yeah,
the three of us have been gaming for decades.
Yeah,
and
I've never murdered anybody.
And the people
I've
we know as
barely
well, not
murdered
just us
anybody.
three. Yeah. You know?
And I've barely murdered anybody this week.
Yeah. Define serial killer.
Yeah.
But,
No, but that's true. In every, even our in our gaming circle, you know, the amount of experience and people who have been playing all their life, we don't. You know, it just doesn't.
You haven't
doesn't
seen that have any negative effect.
It's
on
just
people.
something for other people to blame things on, I think.
Yeah,
if you're going by that
something
same
to blame.
token, then the media that is shown on the news is no different. It's still media. So if you're gonna you know, soak up stuff and no, I don't buy into that.
No, I don't buy into it either. But I do believe that the games that we played have shaped us in certain ways, and I don't know whether it was the inherent personalities that we already had that shaped the games that we chose, or whether it was the games that we chose also had an influence on how we are. Maybe a bit of both.
A bit of both.
Right. I mean, I think that's enough heartfelt nostalgia, isn't it? We've been successfully positive for nearly 40 minutes. Quite frankly, it's becoming a little bit uncomfortable. So
I know I'm not used to it.
So let's ruin that. Right. So it's time for a new section on the show that we like to call Press X to Argue. We're going to take a gaming habit, an opinion, or a questionable bit of behaviour. We're just going to chat about it. Today we're going to talk about excessive hoarding. I already know that at least one of our hosts is guilty of it. I won't name names just yet, but I think they already know who they are. So I put it to you, every gamer who finishes like a 70-hour RPG, but in doing that, they have still got, 103 potions and 27 boosts and an inventory full of legendary stuff they were meant to use to make it easier to get there. But
I feel personally attacked.
They're just guilty of aggravated hoarding.
You just never know what's around the corner.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not that kind of gamer, though. I don't keep everything. The only game I would do that
if you
is
need
Zelda.
It later?
No, because
but there is no later. The game's over.
No, because there's some games you need it.
It's over.
There's some games you do, like in the newer Zeldas, the weapons break, so you have to keep carrying loads of weapons, or you have to keep carrying loads of stuff. But in others, no, I would normally just have like one sword or one axe and one suit of armor, and that's it. That's all I need.
But I know exactly what James is like. You're like, yeah, but I might have needed them. I'm like, right, but how low does your health have to get before you are going to use the good potion? Like, you've reached the final boss, the world is ending, half your party's dead, you've got 4 health left, and you still don't want to use the mega elixir.
Because I might need it later.
Like, what are you saving it for? The sequel?
That's been cancelled, so don't worry about that.
I'm an unapologetic hoarder in video games, right? If a item in a video game looks important, it's staying in my inventory. It ain't being used, because the worst thing in the world is if I get to a point in the game where they're like, "Oh yeah, now hand me this," and I go, I used it already.
Or you need this to craft something.
Yes, exactly.
Damn it.
What if that random twig I picked up 30 hours ago is a key ingredient in crafting the best weapon in the game later on?
But I think, again, that James, I think what we were just talking about previously is that defines how you are as a person sometimes, I think. And if you are a person as well who likes to hold the stuff, you kind of bring that into the game. You can't mentally get that over if you're a person who's not, or is a bit blasé, or doesn't really need to know. No, I know you're not. I know you're not. You can't actually get in anywhere in your room.
Yeah, I can't move anywhere right now. I'm surrounded by stuff. No, you are right in a way, though. I think it's very much the nature of the kind of games that I tend to gravitate towards. I tend to gravitate towards games that might have systems in place where something that you found right at the start of the game then becomes integral to getting a certain super weapon later on in the game.
Yeah, it has happened in games, yeah.
I mean, take like Destiny, for example. If you were to log on to my Destiny 2 account now and look in my vault, I still have the original gun that you pick up at the very first part of that game sitting in my vault.
I do
why?
too.
Because you never know if later on down the line you might need it.
Oh, okay.
But Destiny is a game full of secrets. So that's preordained.
And also the games that I tend to gravitate towards, RPGs, are games that are generally full of secrets. So something that may look innocuous and innocent and, like something you can either just sell, trash sell to a vendor or throw away, you get 30 hours down the line and it's something that you could have used to better your character. So potions and things like that, I don't generally tend to hold on to, but it's sort of like the everyday items that you see, like, this is a game about saving the world from an apocalypse. Why is there a random broom? Surely it means that random broom is going to mean something later on, right? That's the mindset I have.
Yeah.
When there's loads of them,
by design, how many games let you use something that is a consumable that you should keep?
You don't play very many Japanese games, do you?
If you're able to use something that you had to keep, then that's
JRPGs are infamous for allowing you to do whatever you want with the items that will then be needed to craft the best weapon in the game later on. Think about some of the Final Fantasy games, where you've needed to collect things from the very first moment of the game all the way up until the penultimate level, and then you get the opportunity to use all of those to craft the ultimate weapons.
Yeah, but genuinely speaking, you're given a hint by the fact that you can't just dismantle it.
No, that's
without
because
a thought.
games pander to people now.
But
They
before,
let you know that it's important. They never used to.
that what you went past on the first opening scene, you needed that.
Yeah, exactly.
On to our next little segment, and true or false. I will give you 3 examples of ridiculous things in the gaming world, and then I will ask you individually whether you think they're true or false.
Are you going to cheat again?
No.
Yeah, not like last week.
Yeah, you cheated last time. You tried to throw us off.
Yeah.
No Googling, no conferring, no nonsense. First one. When Burnout 2 was released, promote the release, Acclaim offered to pay the speeding fines of UK drivers who were caught on the game's launch day.
False.
James?
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with false. That seems incredibly irresponsible.
Okay. Second one. A Metal Gear Solid 3 boss can die of old age if the player waits long enough before continuing the fight.
I'm going to go with true, because Metal Gear Solid is a weird game. And it seems like exactly the kind of thing that they would put in that game.
So one of the bosses would die of old age if you just left it.
Yep.
Let's go true. Yeah, sod it. Let's go true.
And lastly, so a horror game developer recommended that players keep a real glass of water nearby because the game contained voice-activated commands that would be triggered by drinking noises.
Oh, look, games. I'm going with true with that one.
Do you know what? That seems true to me. No, I'm gonna go against what Frankie said for once. I'm gonna say that's false.
Okay. I think you both had mixed results there. So the first one, Burnout 2, that was in fact true.
No way.
What?
That was true. Acclaim offered to pay the speeding
that
fines of UK drivers.
Irresponsible.
Yeah, but it was.
I wish
it
I
was
knew.
True. It was a marketing gimmick, but yeah, that was in fact.
I mean, there's
true.
a limit to marketing. Surely you can't do that.
Yeah. Metal Gear Solid 3. It is true. The boss can die of old age if you wait long enough before you carry on with the fight.
Yes, with everything I know about Metal Gear.
Yep. And the horror game with the voice-activated commands was false.
Well done, James.
Yep.
Well, I mean, there are horror games that have voice-activated commands, but like the drinking noise is sort of rung a little bit false for me.
You just don't know these days.
You just don't. Yeah. I'm keeping a score. I'm keeping a score. Will there be some sort of prize in a future episode?
I'm still waiting for my trophy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
you
in
can
production.
have your Blue Peter badge later.
Yeah. I mean, it's in production. It's being made elsewhere because it's cheaper to manufacture. Keeping the costs down. So before we get to our normal save file, we want your answers to this week's questions. If you could erase one game from your memory and experience it completely blind again, which are you choosing? Tell us why. And what game made you a gamer? What was the game that changed gaming for you? Drop your answers through the through our community and our socials. Discord, as always, is the best place to communicate with us. Obviously, you can message us on all our other socials. They're all on the website. And just a genuine kind of thank you to everyone who's listening, watching, and interacting, and joining the community and sort of sharing what you're doing and what we're doing. It's WildStar is growing because people are getting involved with it, and so we really do appreciate every single one of you. So one thing left. Time for the save file. One thing from gaming, past, present, that deserves kind of permanent protection. James, start with you.
So this is what I said earlier about coming back to the whole nostalgia side of things, because very much like Frankie in the last time we did this in the last episode, my save file for this week is a memory. It's very relevant to what we've been talking about pretty much all episode, because it's a memory of the exact time when Xbox Live was first launched over here in the UK. I remember waiting for the Xbox Live to go live. Basically, we were all set up in the living room of my house. We threw a bunch of quilts and stuff on the floor so we had somewhere comfy to sit. We had snacks and drinks at the ready, and we just ended up having about a 2-day gaming binge where we didn't do anything other than play online for the very first time. It was sort of like revolutionary. As you said with your game that made you, Andy, it was an amazing experience because the amount of people we met during that time and people we met that we would go on to speak to for years to come on that very first day, it's just a memory that sticks in my head, and it's what I would choose this week to save.
Well, that's a good one, because that is, I think we've all kind of got our memory as well. Do you remember that first game you actually did, James?
Yeah, I believe there were two. I believe it was a game called Midtown Madness 3.
Yes, yeah.
And possibly at the same time, it was original Ghost Recon.
Yeah.
I think those were two of the games that we played at that time.
Yeah.
But Midtown Madness 3
Madness
was one of the big ones that we played for ages. And it wasn't even particularly a good game. And it was one of the buggiest games I've ever come across in my life. But
It was
that
fun.
is what made it
Yeah,
fun.
it was fun. Yeah.
That is what made it fun, because everybody got together to try and find the most amount of bugs and glitches in that game that they could. So although it was a racing game, barely any racing took place. It was just people driving around an open map. One of the maps was Paris, because you had the Eiffel Tower.
Yes, I remember that. You used to drive as
to
quick as you can, drive through.
Drive as quick as you can into one of the pillars of the Eiffel Tower, and it would teleport you up to the top of the Eiffel Tower for no reason whatsoever. There were bugs where you could get out of the map, and bugs that would send your car flying, catapulting through the air. And it was just an incredible experience.
That is a good one. Yeah,
it's a good one.
Yep, I remember playing that game too. My save file this week, we're kind of leaning into the nostalgia thing here, I think, for me this week. But so my save file this week is something younger gamers might not even know ever existed: the instruction booklet. So remember buying a new game and you'd actually get something inside the box.
Do you know what? That's crazy, man, because I was torn. So I'll make no secret of the fact that when you first gave us the save file for this week, I struggled a bit. I even think I messaged you and said, I really can't think of what I'm going to put in the save file this week.
Mm-hmm.
And then two things came to me, and one of them was the memory that I just described, and the other one was exactly what you're saying now.
Yeah, I mean, if you'd been dragged into town with your parents to buy it, the journey home kind of became part of the experience. You couldn't play the game yet, so you read the manual like it contained bloody nuclear launch codes.
Yeah,
you had the controls, the character bios, weapons, maps. Sometimes even a little bit of artwork.
You read my mind there.
I'd have read the bastard thing 3 times before we even got home.
Yeah,
sometimes
I remember vividly. I vividly remember you read the back of the box.
Yeah, back of the box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you open the box and then you take out the instruction manual and you're reading through the instruction manual. And it felt like an eternity until you got home and you could actually play this game.
Yeah.
Well,
Sometimes the manuals are
preload the game.
massive, like proper chunky thing that, you know, and then there was always a little section at the back, notes. Notes? I'm 12 years old. What am I meant to put in the notes section? My quarterly KPI targets? Like, but that's the thing that I missed. Like, buying a game used to have a little ritual around it. And I think that is what is different. And the whole nostalgia ties into the whole nostalgia thing. Like James just said, you'd look at the screenshots on the back of the box about 17 times. You'd read the description, even though you'd just read it in the shop. Then you'd read the manual. Then you'd look at the artwork again. Then you did that whole process again. By the time you actually put the game in the console, you'd spent half an hour living in this world. Sometimes there'd be extras. There'd be like a proper actual map or a poster or a little reference card or an advert for another game that, you know, became the next thing you immediately wanted. Remember that when like, you know, marketing for the game was a poster inside game.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
The days when, you know, advertising was physical. So opening the box was part of buying the game. I mean, you compare that to now, not to go on a downer, but 70 quid, no manual, no map, no booklet.
Sometimes no game.
Sometimes no game, sometimes it's barely even a disc, but
It's
instead...
just a code.
But you get a 94 gigabyte day one patch, you know, privacy policy and a QR code asking me to create another bloody account. So I know manuals disappeared because games don't really need them anymore, and tutorials are objectively better. Games kind of explain themselves, but I don't care. I miss them because they weren't just instructions; they were part of getting a new game.
There was something magical about the whole process. Like you say, it was very much a ritual, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. I think given we've spent most of this episode talking about the games and memories that kind of made us gamers, I think they deserve protecting. So
yeah, it seems very fitting.
My save file this week is the proper gaming instruction booklet. So, Frankie, what's yours?
So mine's a bit more like James's. I remember playing Doom 2 for the first time and used to play it with my next door neighbour. It was obviously in the days as well where you had to preload the game, so you put 7 discs in at a time, one after another. Disc 2 goes in and all that. But there used to be save on the computer where my friend Andy at the time, he got it for his birthday, but he got it like a couple of weeks before, and it was one as well. You had to make sure it was working, because how disappointed would you be on actually sometimes you used to load these games and one of the discs didn't work or it wouldn't work on your console. So I remember preloading, we preloaded it on, and when his parents used to be at work, we used to go around to his house and play the whole Doom game. So we used to play Doom 2 together. I used to be doing a shoot in and he used to be moving around, or we would take it in terms of like doing like different things. And when we used to hear the car come down the driveway, quickly turn the computer off, pretend we're not playing this game and all that. And I remember actually on his birthday, his parents asked him, like, "Oh, you haven't touched the game or nothing?" And like we couldn't say nothing. Like, we've actually completed the game. We've done everything. We've done everything.
No, we haven't touched it at all.
That's it. And we're like, "Oh no, we'll play it later on or something." Or he'll be like, "Oh yeah, we'll play something later," and we'll go off and do something else or whatever. And we'll be like, "Well, and then the parents are like, 'Oh, we're never going to buy you a game anymore. We bought you this, and you haven't even played it.'" And we had to then confess, "Look, every time you're at work, we were playing it when you were at work.
We did nothing but play it." Yeah,
yeah, it was like that and Football Manager we used to do. But yeah, like the Doom 2, and that would be my save file. It was a good, it's good memories, and playing Doom 2 was fantastic at the time.
Well, I think it's shaped up to be a very nostalgic episode.
Yes,
yeah, I think you've finished us off nicely there, Frankie. Objectively, so I mean that's it. That's it for this episode of the WildStar Gaming podcast. We'll cut that bit out so HR don't listen to it.
You finished me off nicely, Frankie.
But we've somehow managed an entire episode about how much we love gaming. So Legal will be delighted.
And that's the thing at the end of the day, isn't it? Because we do love gaming.
Yes.
And despite all of the negativity that's surrounded gaming and the gaming landscape recently, there's a reason why us three decided to do what we're doing, why we decided to do this podcast, why we decided to put, our time and effort into trying to grow a gaming media website from nothing. Because it's the shared passion for gaming that brought the three of us together to work on this project.
Yeah.
Exactly that. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being part of the WildStar Gaming community. But genuinely, send us the game that you'd wipe from your memory that you could experience it, and tell us the game that made you a gamer. Because I think probably much like ours, the stories behind those choices are probably what's going to be even more interesting than the games themselves.
Agreed.
We'll be back next time with more. Until then, take care.
That's our show. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you next week on WildStar Gaming.